online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, we didn't do a song.
Oh.
That's right. Oh, no, the Hannibal theme. This is close enough. Welcome to the Hannibal AfterBuzz After Show, Episode 3. Secondo.
It sounds like El Segundo.
Oh, man. This is bad. Dua, you're new, but I'm notorious for mispronouncing, especially in season 1, mispronouncing the courses. When they were in Italian, I was in bad shape. Then it was Japanese, I was in worse shape.
And then you couldn't, Belinda.
Oh, he had a rough time with
Bedelia Di Mornay. Anyway, welcome to the AfterBuzz After Show.
Still can't do it.
Hannibal's AfterBuzz After Show. Thank you for joining us. We are here live streaming. Thanks for you for all already joining us live and waiting for us, like Spider Monkey and Nefertiti Mohammed and Muhammad AM and Joshua W and the rest of you guys. Sorry we are late, but we're here for you guys on the East Coast. And if you're joining us, watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. If you download us on iTunes, thank you very much. We're happy to have you all here. We're also happy to have, we almost had a full panel tonight.
So close.
Almost.
But Joe Sanfilippo has, we're not going to say what it is, but he may have a very good reason for missing the show tonight. Oh, my chair's so low. Why am I so low? There I am. Hi. I'm on the floor. Joseph Lippo may have a cool announcement to make, and hopefully we'll talk about that. And
what a tease.
That's a great tease. But in his stead, well, actually not in his stead, because you're here forever.
I'm here forever, ever?
Yes. This is Dua Kaissi. Dua,
hi, everybody.
Welcome to the show. Those of you who follow us from the Bates Motel after show may know Dua from Bates Motel with Joe and Joe and Nando and I.
Never seen a single episode.
But now I'm combining with my two favorite ladies. I get to combine you on one show.
It's like you planned this all along, Joe.
It's my big plan. And I got rid of Flippo.
You're welcome.
Flips out.
That's all happening. And I'm also joined with the lovely Julia Cearley.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again.
That was the longest introduction in history. Thank you for joining us. So, man, episode 3. It's confusing because it's Secondo, but it's episode 3.
Yeah.
You feel like Secondo should have been episode 2.
It's not that hard to confuse you, is it, Joe?
I'm on top of everything here. Again, we just watched this episode here on the East Coast, and it was we're on the West Coast, East Coast feed, and it was great, man. It's more good stuff. I mean, they're not making any bad episodes over there at the Hannibal factory, right?
I think they're onto something.
I think they might have something. I think they know what they're doing here. My man Vincenzo Natali directed this one as well. That's 3 in a row who wrote for him. He continued with his sort of like horror surrealism. They added some very visually speaking. They had some very cool transitions. Some Hannibal into Will and some Hannibal in the coffee cup into my girl Chio. And the very lovely Chio, by the way. More on her later. I like me some Chio. Never mind. Anyway, so we saw the return of Inspector Ronaldo Pazzi. We also saw Jack Crawford's return, which we'll get into. It's great to see.
Sick scar.
Yeah, and you know what? It's cool to see.
What you can do with scars.
Lawrence Fishburne is so dope. He's so great. Like, it's great to see him. And we've seen him in Blackish, doing the comedy thing, and then he comes back and he does like really one scene, and it's like, oh yeah, there's Jack, this guy. That was really great to see. And we're on to something. This episode essentially got a chance to give Hannibal a really interesting way to do the Hannibal origin story that we know from Hannibal Rising.
Yes.
That we get to watch in graphic detail in Hannibal Rising, but we get to thankfully and mercifully only get anecdotally.
Hopefully. It's only the first time it's introduced. Don't speak too soon.
Hopefully we only get anecdotally, the references to poor Misha and everything else. But we get it was a cool sort of way to talk about a lot of deep themes, like a lot of like betrayal and love and how they're intertwined, and forgiveness and some really deep stuff on all those levels. And then listen, we're getting into Hannibal's psyche. Will is back in Hannibal's memory place. A lot to get done, but Dua, I want, since your first time here, I would like to give you the opportunity to talk about your reflections on this episode.
Well, this is for those of you out there. I did do Bates, and I'm actually I would like to call myself a newborn Hannibal. Because I am actually just getting into the show, and there's so much I love. I love origin story, and I love taking characters that you already have a preconceived notion about and watching them kind of be reinvented and recreated. I think this show is great on so many levels. Just the attention to detail with the set design, the absolute poetic writing. I mean, the writing is really... we actually watched it with the captions on. Yeah. Because you don't want to miss a word. The writing is very, very poetic. Yep. And all of the screenshots, like when Will had his visionary talk with Hannibal earlier in the episode, and all of those pan shots that were through the glass, so they kind of became multi-dimensional. Very, very cool. Amazing. It's one of those shows where, and I think that Joe said this before, Flippo, where you really can't take your eyes off of it for a minute because you will miss something. And I love shows like that. I love shows where you have to pay attention. I agree. And we don't give enough shout outs to these people, but man, shout outs to James Hawkinson, who's a cinematographer, who's the DP who shoots this show. And Vincenzo Natali's the director, but man, these shots are framed beautifully, and they are shot beautifully, and they are lit beautifully. And I don't know, they're really doing some fantastic, Emmy-worthy work here, just from that standpoint. And Matthew Davies' production design is on point as well. And also, Brian, I think it's Ritzel, who's the composer. I just want to mention these people because, it's between, we know about Bryan Fuller and Steve Lightfoot and what they do, but these combination of the director, the cinematographer, the music, and the production design on this are impeccable. Yeah. And it really just sets this incredible mood for tone.
This. And the tone.
It's so amazing. And even when you get to things just like the way that those dishes are prepared so intentionally, so with so much attention to detail, it really kind of gives, it brings the level of the show up that much higher.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Jules, what did you think of this?
Once again, they hit it out of the park. I absolutely adored it. Vincenzo definitely continued on with that horror film sort of richness and elegance. The best kind of horror film. Not a stupid slasher horror film. The best, most beautiful, invested kind of horror film. Yeah. I loved that this was sort of a tour through Lecter's memory palace.
Sure.
And seeing Will tap into that.
I mean, there's a lot of memory palace talk.
A lot of memory palace talk.
Yeah.
But that's the way to Lecter, right?
Yes.
And I really dug the idea of Hannibal's little children assembling. All the people that he has manipulated over all these years, who knows how many are out there, coming together, sort of realizing what they've been through together, and so now they're assembling. What are they going to do? They're going to gang up on Dad? Are they going to join Dad? Are they going to challenge Dad?
Well, what's interesting about this, we kind of know, we have some cool things happening, because we kind of know, because Bryan Fuller's talked about it, we kind of know that this season is pretty much the lead up to, or the front half of, or a lot of Red Dragon. We know the back half of the season is going to pretty much be Red Dragon. We know because Dollarhide shows up and some others. So we kind of know we're going to get that. Then we also know at the beginning of Red Dragon, Hannibal is captured. So we kind of know where this is going. But what we don't necessarily know is that lead up. Because I think at least the movie Red Dragon in the book, I can't remember what Manhunter does with it. But what we see Hannibal and Will as friends, and then Hannibal stabbing Will, and then there's a jump to Hannibal in jail. So
Will on a boat.
So what we're getting here is the wonderful sort of the lead up to that. What happened in this whole time?
There's a lot of opportunity for them to really kind of fill in those gaps, and
exactly.
They can have fun with it too.
And they're doing a great job. And again, weaving in this origin story and going back to the
Hannibal Rising.
Well, what was the name of that? But did you catch the name of there's a name on the placard of the manor?
Oh, all I saw was
Hannibal
Lecter, and then
I thought I said Lecter Arms, which would be horrible. given that wonderful forearm prosciutto we had. Which looked delicious.
If anybody out there remembers what it was said, feel free to write in. We are streaming live, and you can remind us what the name on the placard was.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Joshua W. Fun fact. Hannibal introduces himself to as Mr. Jockoff, Hannibal's childhood tutor who taught him how to build his memory palace. That's a hot Easter egg, Joshua W. Thank you very much.
Joshua.
So listen, the beginning of this, we see Will. Wait, how did I forget how to start? So it just happened. What do we see first in this thing?
It's Hannibal. It's the talk about betrayal and forgiveness.
Yes.
And then it's also coincidentally how they ended the episode as well. They kind of
nice
came full circle. Yeah.
I want to start there because that was so. This is the conversation that was kind of the big elephant in the room of seasons 1 and 2 that I've asked Bryan about a bunch of times, and he's kind of danced around, which is the relationship between Will and Hannibal. Mm-hmm. Bryan Fuller's called it a bromance. I've said, look, Bryan's straight up romance, and he's like, I don't know. I'm like, these guys are in love. He's like,
so in love.
and so they actually sort of said it, and then Bedelia challenged him on it, and they talked about love and what were some of the lines in there, like that interesting conversation.
Something about you can't choose who you fall in love with.
You don't have notes in that thick ass.
Yeah, she is.
You read everything down. I thought you were gonna just break it out. That's the first time in my entire life that I've asked you a quote and you're like, something about...
You can't choose who you fall in love with.
Okay, there it is.
The thing is, you know what?
No, you always know. I'm like, what was the line, Julia? You're like...
I gotcha.
All right, sorry.
Can I bring up something? Because
yes.
You're very right. At the beginning, they said they can't choose who you fall in love with, but at the end, when they're wrapping it up, they also say we can't all sometimes betrayal, we have no choice. Man, I messed up that line.
It's all right.
We can all betray without given a choice too. So
right.
It's almost like it's about betraying people that you love is
right.
what this episode is, especially with the mirroring of the sister. Mm-hmm. It's just like the ultimate betrayal really means that you love them more than anybody else.
And it's a great point. And also, like, Bedelia's asking the questions about, so was it good to see him? What'd you think of that? Like, it's kind of a funny, it's like someone talking about like you running into an old boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, oh, what was that? Like, you didn't run into an old girlfriend in the mall, and then you tell your friend about it, like, oh, what'd you think? Was it good to see her? It's like, yeah, it's kind of awkward, she's got a husband and a couple kids, I don't know. And it's like, it's the same thing, she's like, well, was it good to see him? He's like,
he said it was nice.
It was nice,
And he forgave me.
He's so
I'm excited about that.
You forgave me, Delia.
Closure.
Isn't this great?
We're even.
Yeah. What do we make of this whole of the Hannibal Bedelia relationship? we're only 3 episodes in. We deconstructed it a lot in episode 1 because that was the whole episode essentially. We're the first time back and we're like trying to wrap our heads around it. Mm-hmm. We didn't get much of it in episode 2. In episode 3, we're kind of seeing a little more of it. Like, what do we make of this relationship here?
She seems to have a bit more power now than we saw in the original first episode of this season.
Sure.
She seems a little bit more in control. She even says that she has a plan for when they get caught, and that they will get caught. But she knows what she's going to do.
I thought that she said that she knew what she was going to do for her.
For her,
yeah. Like almost like you need your idea because I know what I'm going to do.
Absolutely,
you're going to get caught. Have something figured out.
Right. I'm sorry, Joshua W. He's just dropping knowledge bombs on me in real time. The plaque on the gate said Lecter Davaris, which means Lecter Manor in Lithuanian. Duh.
Of course.
Thank you.
Doi.
Thank you, Joshua.
Everyone knew that.
Freshman Lithuanian.
Thank you, Joshua. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I still this relationship is really interesting to me because we were wondering if she's there against her will, and then she's out of curiosity, and then this sort of cat and mouse game, and sometimes she seems terrified, sometimes she seems intrigued. I mean, and then I had to ask the question when they're he's giving her that wonderful bath, and that looked like a beautiful.
That was a sexy bath.
I mean, a wonderful. I mean, I wish that I could get that. I'd take that shampoo from Hannibal. With my afro from back in 1990, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's very cool. But it made me wonder the question. I'll ask both of you: Are they doing it? Are they having sex? We had that one thing where she did the little peeky poo.
Yeah,
and Hannibal's like, meh. I mean, I don't know. Are they? Come on. Are they doing it, Dua? Come on.
I don't think they're doing it yet. I think that if they were, I think that that's something that they would probably let the audience know about. I think that their relationship is definitely becoming closer. Bedelia seems, did I say that right, Bedelia? I'm worried now. She seems highly masochistic to me. And you know when you get yourself in a relationship with like a boyfriend and it's so stimulating on levels that like you're like, I've never been with a guy like this before.
Tell me about it. It's like me and Flippo for the first 3 years.
But you know that it's wrong, and so I think
it's like me and Flippo now.
For whatever reason, she knows that deep down she's not supposed to be there. There are levels there that she's just crossing all types of boundaries.
Sure.
But she's so intrigued. Like, this is probably the most exciting thing in her professional career. Probably the most exciting thing in her personal career.
I agree.
But she's just going along for the ride.
I agree. I think there's a real obviously.
But I don't think she understands how. Or I don't think originally she understood how deep it went. I think the intrigue is what lured her in from the very beginning.
Yes.
Stop it.
I had to do it. What happened?
Joe's in rare form
Who
today.
said that?
Show the ladies.
What happened?
You're welcome.
I don't know what happened. No, I agree. I'm sure she wasn't sure how deep it went.
No.
But now she knows. I mean, are they having sex or not?
I don't know.
All right.
I want to say no, that it's like an intellectual intimacy that they're sharing and digging deeper and deeper, and it's like the most intense therapy session you could ever possibly imagine, filled with blood and really good food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Because I think that what stimulates them, they're such intellect, they're so cerebral that, something as physical and as sex, I think that they would probably be more stimulated by being in almost like this psychological game with each other rather than actually just having sex.
I agree.
Like that kind of
I agree.
secondary.
I mean, I totally agree. Let's stick with them because I want to get into my boy, Professor Soliato, who we knew. I mean, the second we saw him, he was such a dick.
Oh, my God.
The first time we saw him. And we know, he was so smug. I mean, he's the second most smug Italian I know. The first one's not here tonight.
Oh.
Like, he was so smug. And we all know how Hannibal feels about eating the rude. So we were just like, what's this guy going to be? And, who knew? So he shows up for dinner, and it was just like...
For arm prosciutto.
For arm prosciutto. Who's arm prosciutto? Oh, that's the other dude. Other homies, right? Yeah. Is that his name?
Right?
Dimond?
Mr. Dimond?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was... But what about the other cat with the hair who... Oh, it was Dimond. Yeah, that's right. Got it. Okay.
Joshua, write in and let us know.
Joshua knows. Somebody's got to have the facts on this show.
Joshua now.
No, certainly isn't the three of us. No. So he serves up some lovely arm prosciutto, which that was a nice little cut, a nice little twist on what they normally do in Hannibal. Because normally you'll see some close-up preparations, and then what looks like regular meat, and it's always this sort of game in Hannibal: is this real food? Is this person? What's happening? But now we saw Chio preparing the game hen, the chicken, whatever it was, and then she goes to the slice, and it's just a cut to the slice and the wrist off.
It's a great transition.
I was like, what?
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of big butcher.
But that's the first time we actually saw okay, here's a hand. Just chopping this. Just do a little butchering. Just getting this up.
Shave that right off.
So he serves with that wonderful prosciutto, forearm prosciutto,
with the punch romaine.
Romaine. Now, we talked about the black humor in this show a lot. We talked about what the Bryan Fuller and the gang injecting some dark humor, and Hannibal's freaking funny. Yeah, Hannibal is.
And he knows it.
I mean, he's a dry, he's smirking. He's doing everything but doing a take to the camera and winking. It's so. I mean, it's really funny. Mads is doing a great job.
Yes.
With this, the line obviously, and it seems like every time he's about to serve dinner, there's always some sort of pun, some sort of joke, some sort of long thing, and they were little. They sprinkle them in seasons 1 and 2, but they're really kind of going with it already in season 3.
Oh yeah,
I think it makes the whole situation a lot more palatable as well, because you
said palatable.
Yeah, you get away from the fact that he's feeding somebody to somebody else when you can throw in a cute joke and all of a sudden you're getting chuckled and you're like, oh, this is funny.
That's an excellent point. I'm sure that's the intention with Bryan Fuller again. That's an excellent point because at the heart of it, dude's eating dude's arm. Like he's serving somebody's arm, and we're grossed out.
Feel so ashamed every time I see him preparing some meal, and it looks so gross. It's an organ, it's an arm, it's this, and then it comes out. I was like, I want to eat it.
It looks friggin' delicious.
I really want it.
Oh my god!
Wrong. I'm ashamed.
So he served the old punch romaine, which is what they serve people in the Titanic.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I mean, there's a lot of thrills and a lot of scares and different things. And the show is not really a jump out and scare you like the following, like stab, stab. It's not like that kind of show. It's more cerebral and there's some suspense, and then you get the big gross outs. But I got to tell you that I did not in a million years see the ice pick to the temple.
There was an uproar of laughter in our trailer, by the way. I just want to let everybody know. Everybody started laughing.
I freaked the F out.
Yeah,
it was the most uncomfortable laughter ever.
I was like, oh.
I'm like, 'cause it really shocked me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, oh my God.
I saw how deliberate it was with the ice pick when he was breaking up the ice, and I thought, ooh, the ice pick. Ooh, something's going to happen with the ice pick.
Oh,
but
I didn't even catch
think
that.
it was going to be that...
Yep.
That quick.
Yep.
Yeah, it really got me. And then we really see Hannibal well, even then we talk about how Hannibal is always sort of in control and so controlled, and that felt like there was a little emotion behind it, which Bedelia noticed. She's like, oh, you've been wanting to do that since you served that punch Romaine. Yeah. And so that
was very emotionally based. And I like how you see that like Bedelia and him are now finishing. Like I feel like they're going to become more and more of a partnership because she finished it off for him.
Well, that's we wanted to talk about that. That was very interesting. Well, first of all, I just want to talk about, scrambling brain. Like, there's something about scrambled brains and
there's
like
something about a lobotomy that I don't know.
like dudes like I'm like laughing. What's that smell? Like it is like that freaks me the F out. And obviously in Hannibal, this is not necessarily a spoiler alert, but in Hannibal the film, that not so wonderful scene with Ray Liotta.
Oh God, with the brain.
Oh, and he's like slicing,
and he's alive, and he's like blop 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 bleep. Like talking like, what's that? That's delicious.
It's one of the most upsetting things I've ever seen.
It's so upsetting.
It's so disturbing.
But equally as upsetting as the ice pick, and he's like I can't see what's blah blah blah
and
Italian,
laughing,
giggling. I'm like, oh, take it out. So Bedelia does that. Bedelia takes that, like, ends his misery.
First, she wraps a napkin around it so her fingerprints aren't on it.
Ooh, good catch.
She's a thinker.
Good catch.
A thinker.
Yeah.
She knows how she's going to get out of this.
Yeah, good catch.
She has a plan.
But then Hannibal delivers with another laugh out loud line, like, technically you killed him. Technically.
She's like, damn it.
He's like, no, Hannibal.
Semantics.
He's like, you cool, you got me. I love that. I love that bit. That's like a really, that's some funny stuff going on there. I really appreciate all that. So then they had the little exchange back and forth there, and then Bedelia's like, dude, what's your problem? Like, what's going on with you? We're everything's wonderful. We're peaceful here. You're killing two people from the same freaking institution. Yeah, you're like, these people are missing now. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, you're drawing them back to you. You intentionally want them to come find you. And he's like,
Do you think that comes from emotion, or is this a strategic plan?
Well, it's a strategic plan. I think I don't think he's drawing them back so he can kill them all. I think he's drawing them back because mostly maybe it's will, and then the rest will come, and he just loves that to continue this sort of chess game, that he loves to play. I mean, he's bored. I mean, like he's free, he's there, he can yell, he can be cool. He's like, I don't know, like he needs some more, not just the stimulation that comes from like killing and cooking and making someone else eat your food the dead guy you cooked. I think he needs the strategery. He needs the chessboard and all that stuff.
Still in the midst of manipulating Bedelia, although I feel like she's getting a little bit bolder.
Yeah,
it's all those oysters.
Well, I mean, all those oysters, man. She's
just
not
going to town.
Going to town on those oysters.
Those Fanny Bays.
Yeah, she's actually cracking jokes. Bedelia's got jokes of her own at the dinner table. I bet you're an expert at it now. Whatever she said. When she said, I don't know.
That's good though.
And also Bedelia did she did give that crack to Hannibal, like in the at the end of the old shampoo. How did she taste? Glug 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 glug.
I thought that I was like, oh, he's about to drown her. I thought that was, you don't mess with, I definitely think that's a trigger or a button for Hannibal and his sister, because this really was kind of the beginning of how he became who he was, and he's replaying or doing things because of this. So just to say that so nonchalantly, right when you could be easily submerged in a bath of water.
And once again, I'm so sorry, but we have that imagery again of being submerged in the water, the pool of blood, or the ocean, which we've seen every episode this season thus far.
Right. And by the way, this is season 3 of Hannibal. I'm you know, I don't know, 27 hours in of Hannibal, 26 hours in of Hannibal. Why do I bring my plate of food and eat during Hannibal? Remind me to not do that.
Oh no, dude.
I'm like, yeah, time for some Hannibal. Got my food, let's get it going. Like, what am I doing? Anyway.
That 13-hour devour.
Yeah, exactly.
Just went to town all day.
Eating food, yes. And there might be some vodka involved too.
Maybe.
Anyway, so... yeah, so that was all. You know, I want to know. I can't remember exactly. I know the Hannibal origin story, and I feel like it's, you know, they got his sister, they ate his sister. Did they make? I can't remember if they made him eat that. They must have. Did he eat the sister? And then he freaked out, and then like
Joshua, if you could.
I don't remember exactly, you know, what that is. And you know, I've totally forgot how that worked. But I'm assuming we'll find out, or I can ask the internet. But I'll continue.
They probably will. I feel like they didn't even really scratch the surface, because the guy in the cage had, according to Hannibal,
right?
Anyway, had killed his sister. That's why he had been locked up for.
But if they don't,
exactly.
But if they don't. This is as far as they go, this is fine. I mean, this isn't really if they give you a little taste of the Hannibal origin story instead of leave it for you to go and, you know, check the book or check the movies or whatever it is, I think that's cool too.
Well, isn't it important though to kind of like, isn't that the point of an origin story, to really kind of delve in and find out why he became the way he was?
Yes, it is.
Because they're able to take liberties, they're not staying completely true to canon. I like to see what their version of the backstory is, of the origin story is.
Yeah, but Fuller's definitely not completely on canon, but very, very close. Let's shift gears over to Will, because Will seems to be, he's on this mission. He's, you know, he's there. He's looking for Hannibal. He's trying to track Hannibal down. We don't know as of yet if he's trying to track him down to kill him, to kiss him,
I still don't
to
think
bring
he
him
knows.
in. Like, I mean, we don't know what, but he's on the hunt for Hannibal, and he's very much like in bloodhound mode, using all of his profiling / you know, empathetic profiling powers. So this brings him to Lithuania, and he ends up at the Hannibal Manor.
Does Hannibal know that he's looking for him? Because based on their last conversation, they kind of squashed everything, right? Like, does he know that Will is looking for him?
Well, Will came to...
I don't know if they squashed everything.
No.
Like, it's a big fist bump. You good, Hannibal? I'm good, homie.
Yeah, cool.
Like, your catacombs, right? You forget me. I tried to kill you. I got you.
All
right, I'm going to go. You go do your thing. I'm going to go check out your house. Like, I don't think they squashed it. Sorry, but go ahead. I love that. Hannibal Will squashed it, right?
For their conversation.
Good.
No, holding grudges? Okay.
Right. No, so Will...
Yes, he does know that he's looking for him, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he said she said it wasn't nice to see him, blah, 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 and then she asked, or Bedelia asked where he went, and he goes, and that's when he said somewhere that I can't go, meaning his home.
Yeah.
So he's on the hunt for...
I wonder how Hannibal knows that he would go there.
Memory Palace. I don't know. That's my answer for everything. Memory Palace.
Memory Palace.
It's really like they are the same person, though. It's really interesting.
Well, they do that. I mean, there's a lot. They do the two sides of the same coin live. So we had that. We had that transition where Hannibal's face, you know, morphed into Will's face in that transition. So it's kind of like, you know, they are definitely. And then now, you know, it's interesting. So when he gets to when he actually gets to Hannibal Manor, or the Lecter Manor. And he has that moment where he's sort of doing his will profiling thing. And I was asking you guys in the room, you know, he sort of flashes back or does something where he's having a conversation with Hannibal. And we know that the show visually personifies whatever's going on in Will's brain, you know, whether it's the pendulum or whatever's going on by design, blah, blah, blah. So I'll ask, was this an instance where he was remembering something, a conversation that Hannibal he had, or was this an instance where he was actually immersing himself in the memory palace and thinking and personifying Hannibal and being like, what would Hannibal think? Like, what was happening in that scene that we saw them talking? What was that?
I don't think it's a conversation that they've had before. It's not like he was recollecting an old session or an old conversation that they had had. Right. I think that this was him doing what he does in almost that clairvoyant way. And if he was standing right next to me in this moment right now, what would we be talking about? I think that that's what that was.
I think, yeah, exactly. I agree completely. I think it was him using all the knowledge he has, all the intimate knowledge that he has of Hannibal, and piecing it together and using his empathetic ways.
Right. Okay, I'll take it. A lot of room in this, a lot of square footage in this memory palace. A lot of room there.
He did say it was vast.
It's vast. It's got multiple rooms, like, break room and a pool table. The Memory Palace is
got a Keurig.
It's a nice crib.
Rent a room at the Memory Palace, starting now.
So he goes in, he checks the place out, and then he has this other moment where he's sort of like goes up to the fountain. And there's the fireflies, and it's very sort of surreal moment, and the fireflies are moving very much in slow motion, so it's sort of, we don't know if it's, very, very surreal feeling and beautifully shot. He goes up to the fountain, and was there blood there? Was this where, I don't know the significance of the fountain. Like, I felt like he cleared away something, and there was looked like a handprint there. It was blood. Again, I don't remember. I don't know if this is a direct reference from Hannibal Rising or not, but like the fountain had some significance, and
that whole sequence seemed really poignant, but I'm not quite certain why. And like all of those snails as well, snails are symbolic. Snails are symbolic, and they actually mean new beginnings and awareness. And I don't know if that was something that was put in on purpose, or if that was for something that had happened before that I wasn't catching on to. That's one of the great things about this show, is that it's like after you watch it, you then have to really think about it and like dissect it.
Yeah, layers and layers and layers.
It felt like when he was at that fountain, he was
dissect. Sorry, go ahead.
So to speak.
When he was at that fountain, it was like he was letting Hannibal sort of wash over him and the beginnings of Hannibal. And since that is where Hannibal got his beginning, it's sort of like where Will is getting his beginning.
Ooh, that's good.
Good.
I like
Very
that.
good.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So
nice.
So Will makes we get a glimpse of the lovely Chio, who's doing some hunting, and I would say she's pretty damn hot.
She's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
She's not.
I'll give it to her.
She's.
Wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. No disrespect to my girl Hateen Park. I'm making the analog because she was I loved her too. But Bryan got a lot of what?
I am so stoked that there's another chick in here, because you guys get all over me whenever I fawn a little bit over Will or fawn a little bit over
Get
Lecter.
ready, I'm your girl.
Right.
And they was like, enough. And listen to this.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
You fawn, we fawn. There's mutual fawning going on.
Yes. Okay. Well, so I'm gonna fawn. She's gorgeous.
I'll give it to you.
She's gorgeous. So, and mysterious looking and wonderful. We see her plucking the feathers and doing the thing and chopping and doing the thing and all that stuff.
So
it was the gun that I think was really cool. Like when you're like pachoom and you get it in one shot, and then she pans over to him and she's like, "I know you're there."
What's that shotgun sound again? Is that the pachoom? No, the pachoom. That's the universal shotgun sound.
Pachoom.
Yes. So he goes down he investigates a house, and he goes down and he finds amongst snails and chicken bones or bird and pheasant bones, a man in a cell, locked in a cell, which is very creepy because didn't see that coming at all. And he's got little dolls made of chicken bone, of fowl bones, if you will. And then she surprises him and says hello. We find out that in this very sort of weird, cool moment that like she is there. This is another person who is sort of seduced by and under Hannibal's spell, and they have this sort of real kindred moment of like Hannibal, man, he's cool, right? Yeah, Hannibal, he's crazy. I know, I got him too. You know him too? I know him too, Hannibal. And this weird moment. So I don't.
Kind of went a little differently, but yeah,
that's what I saw. Maybe it's different on the West Coast feed, but the East Coast feed.
How long? This is my question. Talking about a Hannibal spell, how long has she been there?
I was going to ask the same
watching
question.
over this prisoner. They're both prisoners to each other, she was saying. But that's a pretty serious spell.
She must have been a child.
I'll tell you what.
She's so young.
Yeah. Well, she's I don't know what kind of vanity and cosmetic facilities they have in the old Hannibal Manor, but she's pretty well put together for someone who's pretty much
are on point. Her hair looks spectacular.
Hunting pheasants and taking care of a dude with pheasant bones. Like she's like Runway Ready. Runway Ready? I can't say that.
Runway Ready?
Anyway, so it comes to find out that this is the guy who maybe ate poor Misha, and so they're there. She's, instead of having Hannibal kill him, she says he's in charge of his life in another world psychological game, and she's asking me all these questions that remind me of the questions that the fake Abigail was asking Will about, like, what will you do when you find him? Like, what does he, like, I was asking all these questions about Hannibal. What is he? I mean, I forget some of the questions because I don't remember, but it was like, sort of, why are you fighting? Why are you going to him?
Why are you looking for him? And then his answer. This is something that I found really interesting. Mm-hmm. He said, "I never know myself as well as I know myself when I'm with him."
Yeah, which you said, yeah.
Stuff.
This is to your point about we don't know what Will doesn't know what he's going to do.
Yeah,
Will is very much like Bedelia. This theme, these people who are like sort of like so fascinated by Hannibal and terrified by him. And if you get that close to someone who's so charismatic and so brilliant, and he doesn't kill you. There's something to that.
Stuck in his orbit or something. And
so Bedelia's there, and Will's there, and poor Chio's there. Like it's I don't know. It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know. So they have an interesting thing, but like Will does this move where he lets the guy go, like really like decides to set him free, if you will. And I didn't know what was going to happen. We saw him drug him out to the car, and he drops to his knees in the lights. And that's a familiar shot of like a mob movie when he's on his knees and the lights flashing and he had a tire iron. I thought like, is Will going to kill this guy? But no, he let him go. Presumably.
Forced him to go.
But then he does not go, does he?
Of course not.
Yeah, because he's a bad guy, I suppose, and he goes back to get vengeance on this woman who has, made him eat snails on a steady diet of snails and leftover fowl bones. I mean, do you think he's getting some fowl, or is he just the bones?
She wrapped up some for him.
Okay.
He doesn't. I mean, he's pretty. But did he go there to get vengeance, or did he go there because that was the only place that was familiar to him?
Well, that's what we thought. I think that was the initial thought. Like, oh, he went back because it's what do you call it?
Pavlovian.
No, what's the syndrome? Stockholm. Thank you. It's very Stockholm syndrome. And he goes back and he's comfortable, and then he, in a cool move, busts out and gets her. So I gotta say, then they did that wonderful act break where she looks like she's dead. But I will tell you, this is the one moment where I knew for 100% certainty that she was not going to die.
Nope.
Because Bryan Fuller, admittedly, has said, look. Bryan says all the time, like, he gets so much great feedback from the internet and the web and Twitter, and he says like 98% of it is positive, generally positive, and the only negative feedback he gets is about him killing off Hae-Teen Park, or my girl, like the only Asian woman character.
Oh, yes.
So like people are like, you hate women, you hate Asians, you killed her, and he's like, hey,
so you knew that he wouldn't make that mistake twice.
I just knew. I'm like, oh well, she's a wonderful, beautiful Asian. I'm like, there's no way.
You gotta keep her around.
This chick's gonna die. I don't know how she's getting out of this mess, but she ain't gonna die right now.
And now she's like Will's sidekick. Now
that's why I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's like she's his little sister, like Misha was to Hannibal.
Uh-oh.
Good.
Pretend I did that in predictions.
Oh, no. No. That's so great.
That's really good.
Hey.
That's really good.
Come the show. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I do love, again, I love these sort of buddy cop movie of like, let's go get him. She's got the shotgun and the leather jacket, and Will's ready to go, and this idea of these people tracking Hannibal, and they, like Bedelia said, he's drawing all these people to him, and I think that was very cool. The idea of them going after Hannibal together, I love it.
And I also think it's going to make for some really interesting and fun, lighthearted scenes when they have a common thread. They get to now build a relationship, doing something together for a common, greater good, common
Good thing. No, I want to get to the final two scenes later, but I want to jump back and just touch on the scene with Jack. So the return of Jack, and it was just just him walking in that church and the way that it was shot and that wide shot. But they get a lot of mileage out of that church. That church is beautiful. Yeah. I don't know how many days they shot there. I don't know what else going on, but that is a beautiful, beautiful set. And it's lit perfectly, and the candles, and it's framed beautifully, and the altar. So. And then Jack and my man Ronaldo, Inspector Ronaldo.
So how much time has passed since we've seen Jack last?
8 months.
8 months.
8 months to the okay.
Yeah, 8 months.
Because he looked a little bit like his beard. It looked like time had passed. He looked older to me. I don't know. Yeah, haggard.
Well, he's busy playing grandpa on Blackish. So he's got but no.
That was an interesting scene.
It was great.
That made me very fearful for Inspector Potsy.
Well, I got news. I got news for you.
I know what happens to him, but just to see this build up. I mean, him just saying that he wants to regain his reputation.
Yeah, the crows.
I was like, oh no,
the crows picking at his heart.
That sort of like ego and vengefulness does not bode well for you.
It's so sad for him with the crow.
When you're going after Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
that makes you reckless. That makes you careless, and that's how you're going to probably.
But Jack, but it's so funny. Because poor Inspector
Pazzo?
P-A-Z-Z-I? Potsy, yeah, Potsy.
Oh, this is what you were talking about before. You can't pronounce anything.
I can't pronounce Jack Bone. I can't speak English. But it's like he's looking for a partner. He's looking for, he wants to like a buddy comedy, or a buddy cop movie, and he's asking Will, and Will's like, I'm good. And he's asking Jack, and Jack's like, I'm cool.
I'm here for Will,
I'm like, God, somebody help me get the monster. But I love Jack's response, which is basically like, you know what, man, it's not my house. Yep, he's here. He's gonna do some shit. And it's terrible, but not my problem.
I'm here for Will Graham.
I'm here for Will Graham. What do you think? When he says he's here for Will Graham, that Jack and Will have always had this sort of adversarial relationship. Although Jack trusts Will, but they've always had this sort of adversarial relationship. Obviously, during the whole encephalitis thing, there were some real issues there. But now, Jack and Will should be BFFs right now, right? So when Jack is coming to get Will, what do you think Jack's intentions are? Like, I'm going to come bring him home, and what's he doing? Or I'm trying to help him out, or
save him from himself, or
trying to figure out, is he going to try to go back to Hannibal? Like, what? Yeah, what do you think of that?
And is there guilt involved because he completely forced Will to Lecter for all those months?
Yeah, it was. If you look back on it, it was 100% his fault.
Yeah. Well,
so maybe he is needing to clear his conscience.
Maybe. So I would love, but I can't wait to the new Jack and Will scenes, because they've always been so at odds. And see now that Will can be like, I told you, Hannibal. So
that sounds like a sitcom. The new Jack and Will.
Yeah. So let's get back to this final scene. So Will is gone. Will's really all in on this Hannibal Lecter stuff. Like he's like, okay, let's cool. First of all, he did that cool move, and we've opened a few bottles of wine in our day, maybe a few hundred, but Will did that move with the knife, click, pops the cork out.
With
all
knife.
Of us are like, never.
I mean, it could happen. I don't know.
Really, really old cork.
But
Mythbusters could disprove that in a second.
So he did that, but then he cracks the bottle. He's like, we're going to go get Hannibal? Cool. Grab your shotgun. Let's get out of here. Oh, wait, hold on. I got one more thing to do.
A little art project.
And then, what's in what seems like, a couple of minutes,
right.
He makes a guy into a dragonfly, was it?
It looked like.
With these elaborate wings.
With the glass from the
And I was just thinking, this episode, we did get some gross outs and we did get some eating, but we usually have a nice sort of really elaborate set piece. We talked about bee lady and totem guy and cello neck and mushroom guy. And what did we have last week?
The broken heart stag.
Oh, yeah, the broken heart stag man. So I'm like, this week the episode's over, no thing. And all of a sudden, I'm a dragonfly. So, and Will did it.
The question is why? Why? Was it out of respect?
No, I think it's for Hannibal. I think he's letting Hannibal know, because actually this is like...
Oh, this is like I was here.
Right.
It's like a Red was here on Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly.
And he's in Hannibal's house, and he is becoming Hannibal-y.
Although Hannibal did...
You're acting a little Hannibal-y.
Yeah.
But Hannibal did want that guy dead, so Will did get him dead. So was it a gift to Hannibal? Was it a FU to Hannibal? And what's the significance of the dragonfly? Did I miss that?
Yeah, well, that's the point. That's definitely my question. Anybody anybody can write in, but is it kind of like was it a warning, or was it out of like a respect and like, you know what, here, this is a gift for you?
Yeah.
The way a dog would leave a mouse on the floor for you.
But he didn't take a picture of it on his phone. Send it to Hannibal.
No.
Look what I did. Look, Instagram. Look what I did in your house.
Yes. And then, of course, the last scene, we had the scene with, the book scene. We already talked about the bookend scene of talking about, the relationship. And
betrayal and forgiveness. Yep. And he says, what's the final line before they end it all? He says, what are you going to have to do to Will? And Hannibal says...
Gonna have to eat him, bro.
Gonna have to eat him. Which was so funny because I thought they would just leave that you know what you have to do. And I was like, I thought it was gonna be credits.
Dun, dun,
and I was like, eat him. And I was like, I gotta eat him. I was like, oh, he said it. He just said it.
Leave nothing up for guessing.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So that was cool. Freaking Hannibal.
Love it.
Yeah.
God darn it, this season is good. Let's jump into predictions and get out of here.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Do it, Kaissi. Your first prediction at Hannibal.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Come on.
I'm pulling a Joe Sanfilippo because I normally have really elaborate predictions that never come true.
I've heard this about you.
Have you?
So excited.
Yeah, well, I'm just taking a minute because it really is like I just watched the 3rd episode. I'm just soaking everything in. I really need some more time before I can actually come up with a solid prediction. But I do think that Will and I was going to say Nakama. Will and what was her name? Chio. I think that Will and Chio are going to actually at some point have some type of romantic interlings.
What's an interling?
Interling. Something romantic is going to happen. There's going to be. Hannibal has Bedelia. There's going to be something you can't go on a caper with a hot Asian chick and not get feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I've already got feelings and I'm not on the caper. Nakama. Oh, I forgot my thing. She can knock on my door anytime.
Ayo.
Nakama. Julia, what's your prediction?
Well, I sort of already said it. It sort of just came out of my mouth.
Got it.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm kind of into it.
Okay. I predict that the whole gang will end up I don't know if the gang's going to assemble in Italy or all somehow drawn to Italy or if Mason, we saw some Mason Virgil come back. I don't know if that's going to happen in Italy or if that's going to happen back in the States, but we'll see everyone.
It's another little band of whatnots.
Hannibal's pissed people off.
Poor Hannibal people.
I like that.
All right,
They're employing a lot
we're going to get out of here, but I do want to say thanks to you guys for listening and watching on iTunes again. I want to say hello to some people. Karen Toledo, Muhammad A.M., thank you very much. Tina Hess, Amelia C., Wally Russ, Nolan Palmer, Joshua W., Melina Torres, Arcane, Hannibal Lecter, and many, many more. And for those of you guys...
Hannibal was watching. That's nice.
Every time. And please just see the Movie Guy 182 and I don't know, Jess Moonsta and stream movies and all the rest of you guys watching us live right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rate us on iTunes too. Check us on iTunes. You can just rate us. Watch it. It helps people find us too. We love 5. Joe Sanfilippo was not here to say that. Do it, Kaissi. Where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me on the Twitters at DuaKaissi, DuaKaissi on the Twitters.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here, Dua. Where can we find you?
Yeah,
Julia
you can find
Cearley.
me on Twitter and on Instagram with my name, Julia Cearley, JuliaCearley.
And I forgot to remind you guys about our Podcast One survey. Please go to podcast1.com. Do this quick survey. It's about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. To inform us about how you feel about podcasts. I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Periscope. Scoping at Joe K. Braswell. And also here doing True Detective in a week with Julia and some other folks.
Next week.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Hannibal. We will see you very soon.
We will.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.